Good afternoon. On behalf of the Council, our members and staff of the American Geographical Society, it's my pleasure to welcome you to Geography 2050, Cooperation and Conflict in a Changing Climate, our 11th annual symposium in the Geography 2050 series. Geography is inherently interdisciplinary, and for many of us, the foundation of so many other areas of study. Fundamentally, cooperation and conflict around the world are interfaced with climate change on Earth. The connection between cooperation, conflict, and climate is not always so clear, but it is becoming more visible every day. And we hope that this symposium will help our understanding of this vital connection, so in turn, we can take positive action to resolve conflict and encourage cooperation, especially as it impacts our ability to manage climate change effectively. Conflict, including war and climate change, are threat multipliers, having significant effect on public health, food security, water access, international trade, global energy, and disaster recovery. For all the problems exacerbated by climate change, which we all know too well, there are also examples of cooperation, and these examples give us hope for the future. Our challenge in the next 2 days is to figure out how we can be better influencers as a wider geo community. How can we convince stakeholders and policymakers to consider geographical and geospatial perspectives? And that connects to our mission at AGS, to be a champion of geography for the benefit of society, and to support geographical research and exploration of a better future. Our focus for this symposium is on all that we can do and what is being done, rather than the odds that seem to be against us. Welcome to Columbia University. Welcome to New York City. Welcome to Geography 2050. We invite you to reach out and get to know the people around you, talk, debate, agree, disagree. All of this is the perfect way to continue our ongoing dialogue. Thank you for joining us, and take pride in the expertise you share with others who care about the Earth as much as you do. And with that, let's begin. Ladies and gentlemen, AGS Chairman Dr. Chris Tucker and President Dr. Marie Price.
Thank you, John, and welcome everyone to the symposium. Since 22, AGS partnered with Columbia's Climate School. It's the first climate school in the country, and it underscores how climate change impacts all aspects of our life. AGS brings a particular interest in climate change because of the long-standing concerns of geography between society and environment, the use of geospatial tools, and geographical analysis. So we couldn't be happier to have this partnership to bring people from government, business, academia, educators to think about how climate change can and does lead to conflict, but also how important it is to think about cooperation at varying scales. 2 years ago, we focused on food and agriculture and learned about different adaptations, as well as the fact that agriculture itself is an enormous producer of greenhouse gases. Last year, we focused on hazards and the new map of risk, and realized that whether everyone, maybe not everyone believes in climate change, but certainly people that ensure believe in climate change and are acting accordingly. And today, we begin the discussion of cooperation and conflict. Of course, if we want to reduce greenhouse gases and mitigate the worst effects of climate change, we have to find ways of cooperating. And also finding out ways to work through conflicts. So welcome and thank you for being here. My task as president is to introduce some key people. The first group I'd like to recognize is the program committee who helped organize this event. You'll hear from the chairs, Keith Maspach and Wes Reiser, in a minute, but they have been instrumental in bringing in our speakers and bringing this event to its full development. The second group, which is a little bit unusual for other conferences, is that we have 50 AP Human Geography teacher fellows in the audience. Give it up, teachers. AP Human Geography is a bright light for our discipline. 250,000 students took the AP exam this year, and many of you helped mark those exams, so good for you. We had a workshop with AP Human Geography teachers this morning where we talked about mapping tools, open source, and even introduced one of our most important projects, the Teen Maptivist Initiative, working with high school students to get them mapping meaningful projects in humanitarian work and community development, a project that was in part funded by the Henry Luce Foundation. So we're very happy to have people from the Luce Foundation here as well. And we also have very special guests from the HBCU GeoInt scholars. Could you give it up for the HBCU? We have 14 students from HBCUs from across the country. They're joining us today. They also had a workshop yesterday, and we're just thrilled to have you here, so welcome. In addition to the HBCU GeoInt scholars, we also have various departmental tables. Colgate is here, MIT, University of Oregon, West Point, Bucknell, University of Maryland, and George Washington University. Thank you all for being here. And with that, the chair, Chris Tucker.
Excellent. Thank you, Marie. Who's here at a Geography 2050 for the first time?
All right.
Awesome. Who here has been, well, with this being the 11th, who here has been to all 11? Nice. Nice. Excellent. So this sort of thing is a barn raising every year. I kind of give the same speech every year because it's just so true. It's a barn raising with our sponsors. It's a barn raising with our program committee. It's a barn raising with all the universities that bring their teams here and for our teachers showing up. And there's a lot of love, right? This is kind of a strange niche, perhaps, and you don't come here unless this is something you're very passionate about, so I appreciate you being here. When we started this, we always called it a multi-year strategic dialogue about the vital trends that will reshape the geography of our planet over the coming decades. We tell our speakers that we want you to be geographically grounded, that we want you to be future-focused and highly visual, because that's kind of who we are. And so you're going to get a dose of that over the next couple days. And thanks to all of our speakers in advance for showing up and being a part of this. So first, I'd like to thank all of our counselors, the AGS Council, right? AGS has been around since 1851. Our fiduciaries, our board of directors is called our council. Would all of our counselors please stand up? All right, wave your hands, because even there you go. We have a working council. And this, on top of our fantastic staff that does the day-to-day, we have a council that rolls up their sleeves and makes things happen, not just this event, but for all of our different initiatives over the course of the year. Get to know them. Walk up. They're actually really nice people. Everybody here can have like a really nice conversation with all of you. Very well connected. Some of them are extremely good looking. John Gould right there, extremely good looking man. So just make sure to talk them up, ask them what they've done for a living. I always say, what's your name, where are you from, and what's your story? We have some fascinating stories in this room, and I hope you take everybody up on that. So I want to, beyond our counselors, I'd love to thank our kind of enduring partners. Since we started 11 years ago, the OGC, the Open Geospatial Consortium, if you're not a tech nerd, you may not know them. They're the international standards body for all things geospatial technical. I actually see a young lady right there, Nadine Alame, who was the recent CEO of OGC, now at Taylor Geospatial Institute in St. Louis. I'm not sure if anybody else from OGC here today? I know Christy was going to come. The fund for this U.S. Geospatial Intelligence Foundation on the national security side has also been a great partner. One of my favorite stories is when we threw our very first conference, Carrie Drake from USGIF manned the table, and now she's the new vice president of programs there 11 years later. So she's awesome. They're awesome. And if you care about national security, we'll introduce you. And the fund for the city of New York, who is really our they're kind of our back office. They're the guys that give us our OMF as an institution and help take care of us with all of our administrative needs. Next slide is really our sponsors of this event. This happens because people write checks and they help make phone calls and organize, get speakers and everything. So thank you to Esri. Thank you to Trimble and GeoRobotics. Thank you to Banna Solutions and Black Cape. Bernstein. Sorry. I always get it wrong. Crunchy Data, Nat Geo, AAG, the Independent Evaluation Office at the GEF, and of course, Columbia's Climate School. We really appreciate, we know, it's a competitive world for your dollars, and we appreciate that you invest in Geography 2050. I'd also like to thank our AGS champions. This is a snapshot of some of them. We have many other companies that are signing up. This is, every dollar for this goes into AGS's geography teaching programs. Every dollar helps us support our teachers, helps us lead with Teen Maptivists, et cetera. If you have a company that wants to come in, these are companies that commit $2,500 every year on an ongoing basis. And we really appreciate Constellas, Dean Wise LLC, Forward Slope, Plum Run, Post Building, Trimble. And of course, every year some of our champions get bought by other champions, so we have one less champion, but that's just the way it works. And lastly, I would also like to, last slide. I'm going to introduce our two program leads, program chairs, Mr. Keith Masback and Wes Reiser. But one person I'd like to point out is a first-time Geography 2050 visitor, my mom. Shirley, can you please stand up? A lifelong teacher. A lifelong teacher, so she's hanging out with the teachers. Meet Shirley, she's got great stories, and if the music starts, she starts dancing, so just so you know. So thank you to Keith and Wes and the whole program committee, but I'd love to just pass it over to Keith and Wes right now. They are two fantastic individuals, also terribly nice. Please introduce yourselves to them, and over to you guys to get us started. Thanks so much.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Wes Reiser, and this is Keith Masback, and we are so thrilled to be here with you all today. We are among those who've been here every single time, and somehow they duped me into doing this for a second time after the 2019 Symposium on Borders. But we're so excited to have you and really excited about the theme for this year's conference, which I see tying together a lot of the threads we have had from previous themes here, from energy and water and agriculture and hazards. Every single one of these can be drivers of conflict at every scale, from local to international. And every single one of these, among others, are spaces in which we have to work together to be able to continue to meet the needs of humanity as the climate continues to change more and more rapidly every single year. So as a State Department employee, but also as an academic geographer, I think we have a lot of interesting threads that we're going to pull together at every single scale, and not just with geographers, but with a lot of wonderful speakers from neighboring disciplines as well that all have a lot of resonance as we think about how to address the climate crisis, but also how the climate crisis is going to exacerbate conflict as well and what we can do to mitigate that. And we watch that happen at many scales and in many different ways. This year, we're also thrilled that this conference is going to recognize two incredible, one a geographer and another a friend of geography, one from the public policy world, Michelle Flournoy, and the other my doctoral advisor, Dr. John Agnew from UCLA. So we're thrilled to have them on the stage with us, along with a lot of other incredible, noteworthy speakers.
Thanks, Wes. I have to admit something. Wes is, in fact, doing this for the second time, and he's been a great partner because of that. But I must acknowledge that we were on an early call, and there was a draft going on for who might be the conference chair. And Wes said, and everybody was kind of nudging Wes. And Wes said, I can't take this on. I've got so much going on. And I said, well, Wes, how about if I'm your co-chair? Like, what if we do this together? And so Wes said, that's great. I agree to that deal. And then Wes has done most of the work. So I'd like to both recognize Wes for how much effort and passion he puts into putting this together, and also apologize to him for not being the best partner I could be. So I've been really gratified to have the opportunity to do this. You are attending an event, but you are all explorers, because the history of AGS goes back to its roots of celebrating and acknowledging explorers and the very important role they have played over time. And as we looked at the organization in 2011, 2012, we said, how do we celebrate our past, but provide an intellectual underpinning for what is to come? And that's where we came up with this idea of a theme of an expedition to the future. Can we build on all the things that those before us have contributed, and yet contribute something uniquely to those who will come after us? And so you are explorers, you are part of this journey. And one of the remarkable things about this event is that it is participative. It is life-changing. You will experience a call to action. You will meet people. You will grow your network meaningfully. You will have stimulating conversations, and you will not think about things the same when you leave here as you did when you arrived here. And I don't know that every conference can say that. I don't know that every conference can even aspire to that. But I assure you that that will be your experience here. And if you don't, you should talk to Wes. So I agree with Wes that this has been a journey. This has been a continuing journey from that first year through all the themes. And Wes hit on some of them: urbanization, sustainability, mobility, energy, borders, oceans, food, risk, and finance. And we acknowledge now, certainly in this room, that our climate is in flux, and therefore we have opportunities to do something about it, and we are challenged by the conflicts created, as John talked about earlier. So let's leave here more empowered to do something about it, and not just admire it. I had a wonderful boss in the Pentagon who said it's hard to roll up your sleeves and get to work if you're busy wringing your hands. So the time for hand-wringing has passed. Those of us who believe are in this room, among others. And so we have a responsibility to leave a better opportunity for the future. So thank you for being here. Thanks to John and the staff who do remarkable work to pull this off, and the program committee, especially Wes. I'll be forever grateful for all that you did here. And now I'd like to introduce the first panel. It's a fascinating topic that I think sets the stage for what we're doing. The moderator, Dr. Alec Murphy, a longtime counselor for AGS, he and his panelists are going to come out. I would acknowledge, through my lens at the very least, that Alec Murphy is the father of the AP Human Geography program. And that's just among many things that he's contributed to all of us as he helped shape our future for every student that goes through that program. So thank you very much, and have a great 2 days.
Thanks. Enjoy your time here.